Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, take off my earphones while you're speaking to me? Sure, no problem, officer. Since there's nothing wrong with it, you can buy it. Nurse said ginger ale was for patients only. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Take off my earphones while you're speaking to me? Sure, no problem, officer. Happened this morning. Even though I made a complete and full stop at a four-way stop, I get pulled over by a police vehicle, lights flashing, the works. I turn my dash cam around to face me and whomever goes in front of the driver's side window. I roll it down and ask what seems to be the problem, officer. Officer looks at me the way one would look at a sticky piece of gum stuck to the bottom of one's shoe. You didn't make a complete stop, he says. I adjust one of my hearing aids, lost part of my hearing due to being a touring session musician previously, and before I could speak, he firmly orders, "Sir, take off your earphones when I'm talking to you." I take both hearing aids off and look at him. I can read lips a little, but we're both masked, so I can't understand what he's saying. I communicate in sign language simultaneously while speaking verbally. "I'm deaf and I didn't understand what you just said. Can you communicate to me in ASL, American Sign Language, please?" He points at my hearing aids that look like Apple AirPods, motioning me to put them on. I respond, "Yes, officer, without those I can only communicate in ASL. Please instruct me in ASL and I will be compliant in every possible way." He looks at the dashcam that's neatly pointed squarely at us and mumbles, "For sake." He then motions for me to go, giving me 2 thumbs up. Needless to say, I rolled up the window and drove away as fast as legally allowed. Couldn't wipe the smile off my face all day, lol. Addendum, whoa. 13K likes in a span of less than 2.5 hours. Thanks all. Don't worry, I'll update with a YouTube link as soon as I and a more gadget-savvy nephew extract the footage. I will not be driving the car to preserve the video and to not risk getting it recorded over. Cheers. As soon as I read the title, I thought, please be hearing aids. Please be hearing aids. I knew it would be great. I'm a chief union steward at my job. We have a total a-hole area manager who said a hearing-impaired colleague couldn't use his Bluetooth hearing aids while driving. I smiled and was filled with immediate joy and excitement. "Can I have that in writing, please?" Suddenly my guy was allowed to wear his hearing aids. Asking for something in writing is kryptonite. I learned it the hard way after not getting some contradictory instructions in writing and almost getting fired after things went sideways because of it. It's hilarious watching somebody suddenly backpedal. I haven't done it often, but when I have, I phrased it all innocently. "Okay, just send me an email so I don't forget." Love this. He knew he was screwed. Once back in college, I was coming back to campus from going out to bubble tea with 3 friends. I rolled up to a 4-way stop and saw a cop parked down the street. I turned to my friend in the passenger seat and said, "Wouldn't it be funny if he pulled me over for not stopping?" After finishing that sentence, I started to turn towards him from the complete stop I had been at. I didn't even get to the cop before his lights went on and he pulled me over. He did the "Do you know why I pulled you over?" BS, to which I replied, "No, sir." Then he said that I rolled the stop sign and everyone in the car except for me started to laugh. The officer was not happy about it and asked why they were laughing. When I explained that I'd called out being pulled over while being stopped at the stop sign, he started backing off his BS lie. Turns out I did have a tail light out, but there's no way he knew that until after pulling me over because I was driving towards him. 40 years ago, I had a friend who was a passenger in a car whose driver was deaf. They got pulled over, legit, being teen jerks. The cop asked the driver for license and registration and got a flurry of ASL. The rest of the passengers also gave a flurry of ASL. Cop gave up, waved them on. So deciding they were outlaws, decided to try it again. New cop pulled them over. Driver responded with ASL. Cop answered in ASL. Boom. Got a ticket and an object lesson. In a former life, I was a bartender. Late night Tuesday, it's dead, and a couple wanders in, clearly coming from a wedding or similar event based on the clothes. While holding his arm, she trips a little coming in the door, bumps a table, and then slightly collides with the bar. He's ordering drinks, and I'm preparing the cutting you off spiel because at least one of you is intoxicated. She's blind. We're just after one drink after a long night. No one is driving. I can see she's blind. That's why I'm refusing service tonight. I'm not blind drunk, you idiot. I'm vision impaired. I've never wanted to die more than I have in that moment. She took it pretty well, and was smirking while she clarified. I gave them staff discount as an apology. Similar thing happened to me in school. Teacher thought I had earbuds in, so she sternly told me to take them out. I tried to explain, but you know how it goes, so I took them out. Apparently, a few minutes later she was yelling my name trying to get my attention, so one of my friends told her, "You told him to take his hearing aids out, what did you expect?" I would have packed my stuff, left class, and reported to the principal that said teacher ordered me to remove my hearing aids and that a complaint to the superintendent and the school board, followed by an ADA lawsuit, would be forthcoming. Watch how fast shit happens then. This might be the best way I've ever heard of getting out of a ticket. If he didn't ask me to take my hearing aids off, I'd be lamenting losing money right about now, lol. Since there's nothing wrong with it, you can buy it. My SUV was throwing error codes, so we took it to the dealership to have them look at it. They informed us that the computer just needed a reset and everything was good. We didn't believe them, so when we went to pick it up, my husband drove it around the parking lot, and just as we suspected, it was driving awful and now making a horrible noise. So we went back inside and told them they're wrong and to fix it properly. Several days later, they called us back to say that they figured it out and it was definitely fixed now. Something to do with the transfer case, and a $2,000 bill later we're told it's fixed and we won't have any further issues. Great, I drive it away and I get error codes again. By this point we're beyond frustrated because this vehicle just keeps costing us money and is being nothing but issues for the past year or so. So we take it to the dealership and tell them we'd like to sell it. The lady evaluating it asks us if there's anything wrong with it, and I inform her that I just picked it up from your service department earlier today and they told us that it works perfectly. She takes the keys and goes out to look at it, comes back in and asks about flashing lights and some weird things. We agree with her and let her in on the story. We walk over to the service desk and inform them that their sales department won't buy it because there's something wrong with it. So why does the service department keep telling us that there's nothing wrong with it? He went so red and immediately went to speak with his manager. They ended up having to call the vehicle engineers to figure out how to fix it, and we only had to pay cost on the part that apparently what would actually fix it. It was something to do with a computer, something that needs replacing after the transfer case goes. I can't say for certain if it was finally fixed or not because the day I picked it up I traded it in for a different make. Sounds like it might have been a Jeep? It's a Jeep thing you wouldn't understand. The reverse Uno card. Well played. Gotta love auto dealers. I had a Highlander hybrid. If I didn't drive it for 3 to 4 days, the starting battery would die. Took it to the dealer we bought it from. They said there was no problem with the car or the battery. We played this game for months until we finally traded it in. Right after we traded it in, I read about a switch that would supposedly disconnect the starter battery, then toggle to reconnect it. I went back to the dealer, asked a salesman to see the old car which was sitting on their lot for sale. No switch, and since the car had been there for a week or so it wouldn't start. The salesman said, "Seems like your car has a problem." I smiled and said, "Not my car, guess it is the dealer's problem." This is more American than fireworks on the 4th of July. I was on vacation in a Dodge Durango. Suddenly driving down the freeway, it just shut off. I pulled over and after a few minutes it started up again. 10 minutes after that it died again. By now we were near a Dodge dealer, so we went in. $200 for a diagnostic, then another $200 to clean the fuel injectors, and we were back on the road. A few days later we were on the way home when it died again. Waited a few minutes and it started up. By now furious for spending $400 that did nothing to solve the problem, we made it home and went to a local shop, not a Dodge dealer. I explained the issue and right away he knew what was wrong. He said the crankshaft sensor was failing, so the computer thinks the crankshaft is not spinning and it cuts the fuel supply. He replaced the sensor for $100 and I never had a problem again. Now I will not go to a dealer unless it is a confirmed warranty issue. Bought a new car in November. Has computer, chips, software, radar, cameras, etc. Got a warranty for 10 years on all the electronics. Having a computer at work, I know not to trust those things. I also got extra warranty on the computer things on my new vehicle. The previous one was used and it wasn't an option. We love our Kia Sorento for this reason. Stuff happens, they fix it right away. They bought crankcase bearings from a manufacturer that turned out to be defective. Put out a warranty recall on all engines with said bearings. Our engine went out right about the same time we got the recall letter. Since we were out of a vehicle, they bumped us to the front of the list at the local dealer and gave us a brand new model as a loaner for 3 weeks while they got the engine block and fixed it. Zero cost to us. They even paid for the tow to their shop. The new engine came with a lifetime warranty on the short block. They sued the manufacturer, and so did Hyundai and Subaru, who also bought bearings from them. That manufacturer went out of business. Probably going to get another Kia when this one eventually dies. I'm gonna do what is called a programmer mover. We walk over to the service desk and inform them that their sales department won't buy it because there's something wrong with it. So why does the service department keep telling us that there's nothing wrong with it? He went so red and immediately went to speak with his manager. Nurse said ginger ale was for patients only. Sitting in my wife's hospital room and a nurse asked if there was anything she could get me. I had a bit of a tickle in my throat and I was thirsty, so I asked for something carbonated. She brought me a ginger ale. Great, problem solved. Next shift, nurse asked the same question and I asked for a ginger ale. She brought me a ginger ale with no problem. Next shift, no problem. Then things get interesting. Morning shift comes in. This nurse asks the same question. I asked for a ginger ale. She told me those are for patients only. I had to go to get my own. So I Instacarted a ginger ale along with a few other things with instructions to deliver to the room. They were taking my wife away to surgery and the Instacart shows up at the same time. He asks if anyone ordered groceries. I waved my hand up and asked him to leave it in the room. The nurse exclaimed, "You can't do that." I told her, "You told me I had to get my own." So I did. The sheer look of her head blowing a gasket was priceless. I really do love nurses. They are more important than the doctors, imho. Patients have the most contact with them. I even keep treats in the room just for nurses. I have never met a nurse as militant or controlling or as much of a sheer BTH as this one. So I took a bit of pleasure here. What she didn't know is that I was a patient in this hospital for 3.5 weeks back in January. I Instacarted and DoorDashed orders with no problem. I could only eat so much hospital food. As a nurse, 1 ginger ale in a shift? No problem, especially if asked nicely. If a family member wants like 72 jellos, puddings, ice creams, turkey sandwiches, and juices in a shift, then there's definitely a limit. I have seen family members wipe out our entire fridge with nothing left for patients. If younger kids come to visit, I definitely offer them a popsicle or chocolate milk. A little hospitality goes a long way when it's appropriate. When my dad was in the hospital, they kept Yoo-hoos in stock for me and my sister. Anytime we went to visit, they'd bring us one without us needing to ask. They were really good to us. Probably 20 years ago, I was in the hospital for chest pains. By the time they got me situated in the cardiac unit, they had quit serving dinner, and I was starving. At the time, there was a Pizza Hut in the basement. I assumed for staff use. I called and found out that yes, they would deliver anywhere in the hospital. Thanks, I need a medium cheese delivered to room 802. Last name is Hick. So I had pizza that evening, in the cardiac unit. I had pizza delivered when my child was at children's. Shared with the other parents in the waiting room since I couldn't bring it to his room. Even saved a slice for out night nurse. Dude currently at children's in Minnesota, and they almost detained us for a tote with groceries in it. You are a good soul. I have no doubt the other parents, in the midst of the worst part of parenting, appreciated the hell out of your generosity, but the fact that you included a nurse in your sharing is even more telling. Thank you, good and thoughtful human. The hospital my husband was in had a snack room for patients and family. He was bedbound, but I'd run down there to get applesauce, yogurt, ginger ale, etc. Any chance the morning nurse meant go get your own from a room like that instead of ordering full-on Instacart? The hospital I work at in the adult side, I work in PEDS, they lock up their snacks and drinks. In PEDS we have a family kitchen area with Sprite, cereal, Pop-Tarts, juice, milk, etc. When I worked with adults, some of my co-workers would refuse to give family members snacks and drinks. I was more a play it by ear. If they were abusing the situation, like asking for a six-pack, I'd tell them no or set a limit. But if they asked for one here or there, I didn't care. I totally get it. Over the last few years, between my daughter and my mom, I've spent way too much time at our local hospital. The cafeteria and vending machines only carry flavored waters and sugar-free beverages. If I'm in the ER for 7 hours, damn it, I just want a Mountain Dew. Plus I can't leave. It's even worse that the hospital is in a residential neighborhood and the closest convenience store is probably 2 miles away. By the time you walk half the length of the hospital just to get to the parking lot, get in your car, get what you want and back, you've killed at least 30 minutes. I learned really fast that when spending the day with my mom at the hospital to have snacks and drinks with me. For convenience in addition to saving money in the cafeteria. First of all, unless you are in a wheelchair and you have a flat tire, get up and get your own ginger ale. She's not a waitress. Presumably, the ginger ale is kept in a place that is off limits to members of the general public. She offered. She asked of her own volition. I fail to see a problem of accepting her offer. So technically we are told by the hospital those things are for patients only. For most of us we still give visitors drinks or small snacks. Some people, however, are more strict than others. She may just be one of those people who tend to take hospital policy more serious. I tend to take certain things more seriously than others. I don't allow visitors who stay the night to sleep in bed with the patient. I've seen too much. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.